Do you know that you could change yourself for the better just by changing the quality of the questions that you're asking? Or that you could even change your frustrations into fascinations? What if I told you that you're also able to increase your sales and generate more cash flow for your business just by tweaking one small thing? Well, today's guest on Viditrainer interviews will tell you how to do all of those things and much, much more. Our guest on the show today, Andrew Horton, is an internationally acclaimed but a local South African motivational speaker. He's well known for his sales training and his sales training techniques, and he's also written 3 books on the subject of sales training. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you need any help with your sales, I recommend that you watch this interview. Andrew might just have the stuff that you need to take your business to the next level. I am Deon Terblanche, and welcome to Viditrainer interviews. Hi there, and welcome back. As I said to you in our intro, we've got Andrew Horton. Andrew is an international expert motivational speaker, a successful entrepreneur, as well as a sales training expert. He's even the author of 3 books. Andrew, welcome to the interview.
Thanks very much, Deon. Lovely to be here.
It's always a pleasure to talk to guys like you. Being an expert motivational speaker, the trainer, the author, the motivator. For those of our viewers that don't know you, just tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Thanks, Deon. It's a long story. I think we all have a long one, but I'm going to try and give you the abridged version. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, involved in a number of different businesses, but the part of business that excited me the most was sort of between 1995 and 2002, when I was buying and selling struggling businesses, and during that time, using a tool and a technique that I developed, helping people to improve sales, look at costs, etc., I was able to fix those businesses, bring them back to profit, and sell them off. And then, I don't know whether it was fortunately or unfortunately, but in 2002, I managed to acquire a cash cow. It was a tool producing business, vice manufacturing business. And it kind of got me trapped in an economic place where it was just making too much money. And I got lazy and I sat back on my laurels and got stuck in the rut of not really enjoying what I was doing every day. And then in about 2005, early 2006, decided that I needed to sort of revive things and looked at what I enjoyed most about buying and selling those businesses. And it was obviously the part that went with fixing, working, changing. But the part I didn't enjoy was the bit where I was involved in the day-to-day running of the business, the concerns around cash flow, the staffing, etc., etc. So what I realized was the way forward was to just get involved in a consultative training sort of operation where I could actually go into businesses, do the exciting stuff, yet not have to have all the stresses and strains related to actually running the businesses myself. And hence, that's where I'm at today, where September last year, I actually finally, after 10 years, which was a very long haul, I actually finally sold that business as well. And now 100%, I do 4 things. I travel, I read, I research, and I teach, and that's it. I try to do nothing else in my life, and it's been a long road. It's basically, I've taken a lot of the tools and things that I teach, and I've applied them in my life, and I've basically got myself into a wonderful place where I live the life I love.
So you yourself obviously then are very much from an entrepreneurial background.
Well, Deon, I've been in all sorts of businesses. I've been in tourism. I've had a transport business. I've had a conference center, engineering business, manufacturing business, property development business, rental business. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I've been in, you name it, I've been in that industry. And love it and enjoy the challenge. And I think that's the one thing that any entrepreneur needs to realize out there is running a business, no matter what it is, management, leadership, sales is all, you're still dealing with people. So ostensibly nothing really changes.
Yeah. Now, as a speaker, what would you say is your number one goal, when you speak?
I think
I know it's a loaded question.
No, it's not a loaded question at all. It's actually a very clear question. I want to obviously inspire, energize, and raise people's moods, because very often people phone and they go, I have a demotivated team. And you think, well, okay, well, hang on a second. Yeah, they're demotivated, but what's the reason they're demotivated? And very often, once we dig a little bit deeper, we actually find that underlying challenge, the underlying reason. And going ahead and doing the talk is really just the catalyst, which is unlocking the challenge. Yes. And so I go in there. My objective is basically to uplift, inspire, energize, and just get people to just see their own value, because ultimately we're all champions at shooting ourselves down in flames. I mean, I call them ants, automatic negative thoughts. These things shoot through our minds. I think we've all got a doctorate in being able to shoot ourselves down. Every time we have a challenge, every time we have an issue, instead of asking the better quality question, like, what can I learn from the challenge? Yeah. We end up asking a silly question like, why am I such a fool? And guess what? Your brain's going to give you an answer. It's going to say you're a lazy whatever. You understand? So it's just about the quality of question. So my role when I go into any environment where I try and motivate people is just to help them to unlock that belief in themselves. Because once we start to believe in ourselves, and we start to believe in the possibility that's out there, the doors just open up, and it just re-energizes people and gets them fired up and inspired to just go out and do what they need to do.
Yeah. So essentially also, what I hear you say is, to a certain extent, you deal with that, that little voice we all have inside, and just to get that voice or to make it a positive voice.
I've actually developed a product. I call it my positive affirmation CD, which you listen to once a day, 7 minutes in the morning. And what it does is it just repeats a whole lot of stuff. Like, I'm a genius and I use my wisdom daily. Each day in every way, I'm better and better. And what that does is it just starts to program your brain to believe what you really knew when you were a kid. What's happened is over time, society's programmed us to start believing that we can't. Between the age of birth and 17, we hear the word no 30 times more than the word yes. So we start to become a no generation. We start to believe we can't. And so what I say is just reprogram yourself. It's never too late to have that wonderful childhood. So just go back to that stage, that little toddler, that little 2-year-old that. How many times do you think a kid gets up when it's trying to walk? It falls down, it scratches its knee, it bangs its head, it cuts its head open, but it doesn't give up. That kid keeps trying and trying and trying, never gives up, eventually learns to walk. Now, walking is one of the most complicated things you can imagine to learn, yet we all learn how to do it. But the reality is as time goes on, that determination, that perseverance, that patience disappears, and society programs it out of us. So now what I'm saying is just let's reprogram it. But I'm not asking you to be anything you aren't. I'm asking you to become what you were. So let's just go back, reprogram ourselves, and just get that belief back again. Because once you start believing, you start achieving. And that's the little catalyst. That's the first place we need to start with anything, is just to unlock that belief.
Okay, I think that's brilliant. I really do like what you said there. So I know that you deal with a lot of teams as well. I mean, you just said that. So what are the things that you specialize in with teams?
Well, obviously with a team, there's an individual component, and the individual needs to believe in themselves, and the individual needs to know what their vision is, because the reality is we all have this, again, indoctrinated, built into us through society, is we wake up on a Sunday or we wake up on a Monday morning, and we have this ridiculous concept in our mind of, how am I going to get through my week? Because everything's in my way. Whereas once you just can get yourself that clarity as an individual, and you can say, where do I want to take my life? Where do I want my life to go in the future? In other words, a clear vision of where you're going. The same challenges, the same boss, the same situation, the same team members change from being in your way to now being on your way. In other words, I'm on my way to that future that I envision, and therefore this situation, which is a challenge possibly, is on my way. And then I ask a different question, because remember, the quality of your life is directly proportional to the quality of the questions you ask. So if you ask a better question, instead of asking, how am I going to get through my week, or how am I going to get through the day, you ask a better quality question, and you say, what can I get from this challenge? Can I get from today? So that's on the individual level, where we're looking at the individual and we're saying, reprogram your mind and just make those small, crucial behavioral shifts. Then there's, of course, a team dynamic where we start looking at the team and we're saying, right, as a team, you operate in a certain fashion.
Yeah.
Again, that is dictated by culture. You know, when you sit in a business and people around the water cooler and they say things like, around here, there's no way that management will ever talk to the team members.
Yeah.
Now, guess what? You're already telling yourself what you think about, you bring about. So you're already pre-programming yourself. There's a pre-programmed cultural belief inside you that management doesn't communicate with the team. So what I try to do is I try to get beyond that, and we try to have a look at what are those restrictive cultural things that talk around the water cooler stuff. And we try and have a look at how do we convert that to support the overall vision of the organization. So it's not a case of the vision and then the culture. It's a case of let's look at where we want the business to go or the team to go, the department, etc. And then we ask a better quality question. We say, what culture will support that? And then it's a case of getting that team to embrace that culture, because that culture is what's going to support the team and the team dynamic to go forward very successfully. Can I tell you what luck is? Luck is labor and correct knowledge. I do not believe in such a thing as luck. You make your own luck. The harder you practice, and it's an Arnold Palmer saying, not a Gary Player started from Arnold Palmer.
Yeah. Oh.
The harder I practice, the luckier I get. Yeah. And the bottom line is I've come into this industry. I'm a relatively new boy on the block. Yet I feature, I'm number one in more than 80 top search terms. I saw that. I actually saw that. It was one of the ways that I found you was through Google search, funnily enough. It's just that alone is putting me in a very, very powerful position against my competitors. And when I call them competitors, for want of a better word, I have an abundant mentality, and I believe there's enough business out there for everybody. So compete. Yeah. How can people tell me there's a shortage of business? Or I've got so many of my colleagues in the Professional Speakers Association bitching. There's no business. We sit around the whole month doing nothing. How? What aren't you doing? Just get off your ass and do something.
And start working, damn it.
Just sit there like this law of attraction, secret bullshit, wait for that Ferrari to come and arrive in your driveway. You know what, Andrew, I sat there daydreaming the whole day. I was visualizing all this business, and it just didn't happen. What is wrong?
That's what, we're singing from the same song sheet. I'm also one of those guys. You can dream it up all you want. And that's great. You must have goals, but you also need to work, and that's just one of those things.
Vision and goals are purely, vision is your direction, goals is the how to do it. Yeah. The reality is, back in the Second World War with Dwight D. Eisenhower, after the Normandy sort of whole battle began, he was interviewed by reporters, and they said to him, so General, was planning important? He said, it was crucial. We could not have had the victory that we'd had without planning. But once that first cannonball was fired, the plans were pointless. And that's the reality that people need to have. You need to plan, but you need to understand we live in a dynamic society, in a world it's fluid. Things happen all the time. So the reality is goals are great, but they can't be cast in stone. They've got to be fluid. They've got to be flexible. They've got to move with the direction that you're moving in. And the person that set them today is not the same person that's doing the stuff 3 weeks from now, because you've grown, you've changed, you've evolved. So you have to do it, but you need to be fluid, and you need to have the whole sort of mental, I'm going to go with the flow here stuff,
So Andrew, what would you say are some of the things, or the most important things, that prevent entrepreneurs from reaching their maximum potential?
Deon, that's a really interesting question, and one that I've pondered a lot myself. But what I've come up to is there's really two things that separate super achievers from people that just go through the motion and get trapped on that hamster wheel every day, and they just spin their wheels. And those things are basically a vision of the future. In other words, people that are able to sit down and actually come up with a crystal clear picture of where they want their life to go in the future. Then they believe that they have the ability to achieve that vision. Because there's two things that we have. We have what I like to refer to as the vision in the future is the prize, or rather the promise that we're working towards in the future. And there's a price that we need to pay today. The reality is if you don't have a big enough picture, a big enough 10 times goal to be aiming for in the future, something that's going to make your tummy wobble, something that's really going to be big, audacious, and hairy, not going to have the inspiration to do the stuff you need to do. Because whether you've got a tiny little goal, it takes as much energy to set that as it does a 10 times big, hairy, audacious goal. So if you want to be successful, the way to do it is set those big goals. Let your tummy get the little bit of butterflies, scare yourself a little bit, the size of the goal and the scope of the goal. But the most crucial thing is it's no good setting a goal that's really huge, but you sit back and you're so filled with doubt inside yourself. You go, there's absolutely no way I can achieve that. Pointless. So you need to find a big, hairy, 10 times audacious goal that's going to take you, rip you out of your comfort zone. But at the same time, you need to believe 100% I can do it. If I don't have the abilities today, I can find a book, I can find a mentor, I can find something, somehow, some way of getting the tools, the skills that I need to do it. But you need to believe that you can. So those are the two fundamental elements. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to be successful and you want to become a super achiever, those are the two key elements. Nobody, I have read, I cannot tell you how many autobiographies I've read. Every single one of them had a vision. Every single one of them had an idea. I mean, the room that you're sitting in right now was just a spark of electricity in somebody's head at one point. How did it become real and tangible? Somebody had a vision. They had a picture. They thought, okay, let's build a house, a room. They then built a blueprint. They got a whole lot of workers in. The workers did the stuff they needed to do. Do you think they had any challenges along the way where workers didn't pitch up for work? There was bad weather. They didn't deliver the stuff. Of course, you're sitting in the room right now, Deon. So the reality is your picture of probability, that picture of possibility that you have in the future, the clearer that is, and then the more effort you put into building those plans, to creating that crystal clear blueprint that you can actually act on every single day, the easier it's going to be to achieve those goals. But you're not going to take action if you don't believe that you can do it. Because like I said, it's about prize, is that picture in the future. That's the promise. But there's a price to be paid today. There's discipline. You need to give up a bit of TV today. You need to give up a little bit of going out and having fun maybe with your mates. So there's sacrifices to be made today. Unfortunately, we're such a now instant gratification generation. We want it now. Okay, we don't want to have that delayed gratification. When the picture in the future is big enough, something that, like I said, it kind of gives you butterflies in your tummy. Okay, that way you're going to have a prize that you can look at, a prize you can aim at, that is going to say, you know what, I'm going to give up TV tonight. I'm not going to go out jolling with my mates. Happy on Friday night, doesn't matter. What matters is I'm going to have the discipline. I'm going to have the fortitude to take the action I need to take today to achieve that price, or at least prize in the future. I'm going to pay the price today. And it's simply that: believe, see, and believe. That's it. Those elements are crucial. Once you've got that, any entrepreneur can achieve anything.
I can only agree with you. You know what? You saying that you should give up something like TV, for instance. You know, if you just think about it, giving up, let's say, just 2 hours of TV per night, that gives you an extra, if we just take the week, we don't even include the weekend, it gives you an extra 10 hours every week. I mean, that's a day at work, you know, a full long day at work. How much can you do in that time? So I'm always, you know, kind of surprised and stumped when I talk to entrepreneurs and they tell me they don't have enough time, and then you start digging into how they spend their time, and you hear these things. Now I'm watching TV every night. Come on, man. You're not serious then, are you?
It's not just about TV. It's about, it's something they refer to as your EVE ratio, your entertainment versus education ratio. Because ultimately, I'm a great believer that we don't pursue success. Anything you pursue eludes you. You know, you imagine the two 4-year-olds running around the backyard. They chase each other for hours. Even when they catch each other, they don't know what to do with each other, right? That's what pursuing success is all about. 80% of people that win the lottery in the US, and we're talking big bucks here, millions of dollars, within 18 months, 80% of them have squandered, lost, or given away the money because they've been pulled out of homeostasis. So you attract success by the person you become. You become more as you educate yourself, as you grow more skills, as you invite more experience into your life. So it's all about taking away that entertainment area of your life and increasing the educational area. The average person, they say, is 500 hours of entertainment to every 1 hour of education.
Goodness.
Now, that's crazy, absolutely crazy. Now, just imagine if you had to change that ratio from 500 to 1 to 50 to 1. Just for an example, if you don't push the snooze button in the morning, 10 minutes. 10 minutes a day means you can read 5 pages of a book. That's not going to change my life, is it? But if you read 5 pages of a book every single day of your life, that's 1,825 pages of education, of growth. You're becoming more, right? Therefore, you're attracting more. 1,825 pages, average educational, informational, transformational book, 200 pages. 9 books a year. All I'm doing is not pushing the darn snooze button. You know, just, and people tell me they don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Driving their cars, I call it their mobile university.
Yes.
We're not talking about a sales representative here. We're talking Mr. Average, Mr. and Mrs. Average here. 500 hours a year in their car. 2 semesters at university. Do you think if you listen to CDs, audio books, etc., do you think that would help you? 2 semesters at university every single year of your life? Do you think going to transform your life? So, you know, it's not about not having enough time. It's just about not using your time and your available time as efficiently and effectively as possible. I could go on and on and on, giving you ways of improving and just doing things a little bit smarter, going to make you a whole lot more effective and efficient with what you do.
So doing things smarter makes you smarter. I like that.
No question about it. No question about it.
What I hear you say is that self-leadership is quite important. You know, it really starts with you and the way you think about yourself and the time you spend, and obviously also you know, being serious about reaching your goals.
You know, Deon, the biggest misnomer, besides military and intelligence in the same sentence, the other one is time and management, okay?
Yeah.
For me, you cannot ever manage time. We have 86,400 seconds available to each of us. Donald Trump gets a whole lot more done than Joe Smoke does. But the difference is they prioritize and they use their time effectively and efficiently. So it's never a shortage of time. It's just a shortage of commitment, a shortage of prioritization. Because what we end up doing every single day is we get onto that treadmill of life. And because we don't know what we're going to do, we haven't planned our day the night before. So we wake up in the morning. What do most people do? They walk in, they open up their computers and they read their emails.
Yeah.
So what are we effectively saying to ourselves? Every bit of information from all over the world, let that dictate how my day is going to start. So what I'm doing is I'm setting a trend in the morning to say, you know what, world, break up my day, destroy my day, create my day exactly the way you want. Because I'm not in charge, you're in charge. So if an entrepreneur can do one thing to improve their time, well, 2 things I would advise. 1, plan your day the night before. 2, never open your emails first thing in the morning. Open your emails at about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. Give yourself to get your day started. Do those difficult things. Get those difficult things out the way as soon as possible. And it's amazing how quickly your day just turns into success. Another thing that I find, it's one of the most powerful things I do every single day. I have not set an alarm for, 15 years. I wake up inspired, driven, just wanting to get up and
jumping
attack
out of the bed almost, yeah.
No doubt. I call it my activation energy. It's what gets me going in the morning. Now, think about it. I wake up in the morning. I want to have an energized, empowered day where I'm just going to make things happen. I push the snooze button. So what am I instructing my body? It's okay to procrastinate. It's okay to not do the stuff I need to do because I've given myself permission. Verse wake up, get up, activate, get yourself going, get your day going, set the tone of your day from the moment you wake up. The incredible thing is once you practice this and it becomes just who you are and what you do, the amazing thing is it's just like it happens naturally. Like I said, I haven't set an alarm for like 15 years. Okay, maybe if I'm going cycling and I'm worried that I won't wake up, it's crazy. It's normally later than I get up anyway. But, we have this.
So that's your backup. That's not your main thing.
It's a backup.
Yeah.
I don't use it, but I set it just in case. So the reality is the more energized you become, the more you think about what you're going to do. In other words, plan your day the night before. And let me tell you the benefits that come from that. By planning your day the night before, what are we effectively telling ourselves? When we're at work, we're worrying about why aren't I having fun with my family? So we kind of got one foot at work and we got one foot at home, thinking about how great it would be to be out doing stuff. So we're not really at work. Then when we go home, because we haven't really been at work all day, we now sit and we think, oh, geez, I should have done that. Why did I do this? So I've kind of got one foot at work when I'm at home. So when I'm at home and I should be resting, I'm worrying about work. When I'm at work and I should be working, I'm thinking, well, how great it would be to be at home and doing stuff. I say, when you're at work. Get your work stuff done, get it out the way, finish it. But how do you finalize your day? What you do is you get to that point where you say, right, let me review my day. Let's go through and have a look at what's happened. Congratulate yourself for the stuff that's worked. And then ask yourself a question. What didn't I get done today? First thing tomorrow morning, what do? I stick it on my to-do list. Boom, 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 boom. Those 3 things will get done. What can I do now? Switch off. Immediately, I plan what I'm going to do when I'm going to be doing it the next morning. So I now give myself permission. It's a term I've coined called done for the day. I give myself permission that at a specific time of the day, I'm done for the day. I switch off. I just don't work after that moment. Let's say I go home now and I start thinking about a work-related issue. What do? Walk over to my little piece of paper where I've got all my planning for the next day. I write it down. What have I given my brain permission to do? Switch off, because I've recorded it. So now guess what I do when I'm at home? When I'm sitting watching TV, I'm not procrastinating. Guess what I'm doing?
Relaxing.
Investing valuable time with my wife. I'm spending, you understand, I'm watching TV. I'm not procrastinating. Versus the other guy who's now worrying that he hasn't worked when he should have been at work. So what he's doing is he's sitting there going, I should be doing that. Why aren't I doing? So they're never recharging their battery. So when they go to work the next day, they're kind of starting on a bad foot before they even start. So it's crucial. Rest when you should be resting and work when you should be working. And if you just get those 2 formulas right, any entrepreneur is going to have massive success in their life.
I think flowing from what you just said, one of the things that you are known for is your teachings about success habits. And what I hear you say is that really this is it. These are the habits that you need to learn and adopt to be successful as an entrepreneur.
Deon, we all have habits, and this is what people don't understand. We all have habits. If you just think about, do this tomorrow morning when you wake up and do it for the next couple of days, I guarantee you wake up, and if your left foot hits the floor first in the morning, every single day for the rest of your life, your left foot will hit the floor. You grab the toothbrush and you brush the same side of the teeth. You do everything according to a routine. So we have routines. Yeah. Now, what I'm saying is we've got all these routines. Now, the question you've got to ask yourself, how have my routines served me up to date? If you're really successful and you're a Donald Trump and you're a Richard Branson and then your routines are serving you, you're doing good. But if you're not happy with what's going on in your life, then you've got to start asking a set of different questions. Remember, the quality of your questions, quality of your life. You start asking different quality of question, and you say, what habits will support the vision I have for the future? So you do things a little bit differently. Instead of saying, I've got to do this every day, you have a look at what do I need to achieve in the future? And then you say, in order to do that, what regular habits, if I carry them out, or routines, call them what you like, every single day will support me to do that, because I've got habits anyway. I mean, you drive to work. How often do you arrive at work and you go, which route did I take? How did I get here? That's your habits at work. Now, what I'm saying is once you find out what these success habits are, you arrive shaking your head at success one day and you go, how did I get here? You got to be kidding. It's been that easy. And that's what success habits do for you, is they take the effort, they take the work out of success, because success is a doing word, but the reality is it becomes effortless when you have habits. I mean, you're going to do stuff anyway, so just build habits over time that will support it. Now, I've got a process. I call it my CPA, Code of Personal Achievement. It's a process that I've developed where you read books, you listen to audio books, you attend seminars, you take information from those wonderful sources of information, because bear in mind, the people that have written those books are experts in those fields. So you now read 5 books, you at least you listen. I'm an audio guy, so I listen to 5 audio books, I read three books, and I attend a seminar related to a specific area that is going to support my success in the future. And let's say I'm a salesperson, for example, and I need to improve my selling skills. Well, what am I going to do? I'm going to get 5 audio books on selling, 3 books, and I'm going to attend a seminar in a 90-day window. During those 90 days, I listen to those audio books in my mobile university while I'm driving around. I read that book. I make notes in the margin. Every single day, I come home and I write down 1 or 2 crucial points that I learned from those books, audio books, etc. Over time, I build up a series of 5 amazing bits of information from each book. I then take all of them, and I remember I'm building up my selling ability. So they're all related to one skill. What effectively means is I can pull out of that massive amount of new behaviors, I pull what I call my super 5 out. That I refer to as my Code of Personal Achievement. It's a commitment I make to myself that every single day of my life, before my head hits the pillow, I will carry out those 5 new behaviors. The reality is, initially, it's going to take willpower to carry them out. Okay, so let's look at those behaviors. Those behaviors have come from 8 works from the best experts in the world. Their best ideas, I've pulled them, I've learned them, but I haven't just learned them, because remember, knowledge is of no value. It's applied knowledge. So I've pulled out the best of the best, and I've turned them into 5 super behaviors. Those 5 super behaviors, I use my willpower for the first 66. They say 66 days, it becomes an entrenched habit, 66 to 90 days. So I do not put my head on the pillow till I've done them. Within 90 days, I've got 5 new behaviors. During the next 90 days, I'm now reading the 3 books, listening to the audio books, I'm attending the seminar, and I'm acquiring 5 new habits. Each year, I get 20 new success habits. What have those habits done? They've just replaced bad habits, haven't they?
Of course, yeah. That's absolutely fantastic. It's a real practical process that you can follow. It's not something that's airy-fairy pie in the sky stuff. This is something you can actually do with stuff that's out there now, affordable and doable.
It's very affordable. I mean, if you think about it, what does your average audiobook cost you? If you've got, I do things now all off the internet. I pull off in. Costs you $3.99 for an audiobook.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not even money. It's ridiculous. So you're talking about investing $30 into your future, into the top works from around the world. It's just insane that people aren't doing it.
I agree completely. You briefly touched on salespeople, and a lot of our viewers are salespeople. Now, I think most of what you said up till now really obviously applies to salespeople and entrepreneurs as well. But what other thoughts do you have for salespeople specifically?
Deon, I'd like to just take one step back and say that I believe every single person on this planet is in sales.
I absolutely agree with you.
We unfortunately, and this is the challenge I have with salespeople per se, is they have 2 caps. They have, I am now at home, and I am now standing in front of the movies negotiating with my wife which movie we're going to go to, which is sales, right? What is sales is influence and negotiation, isn't it? So I'm standing talking to my 5-year-old about whether she's going to get the 5 rand to buy the sweets or not. It's sales, right? And now I go into an environment where I'm now dealing with a customer, and now I brace my feet against the desk, and I am now selling. newsflash, guys, you've been selling since the first moment you went, wah. Okay, that was where you try to influence somebody to do something for you. So we've been in sales from the moment we were born. Once people, and I'm saying salespeople, can authentically see and believe that they're in sales all the time, and they don't segregate and separate themselves, and there's an authentic self that deals with the wife negotiation and the 5-year-old child negotiation, and there's an inauthentic self that comes in and tries to sell something to somebody. Once they can make that connection and see that, hang on a second, I'm one person, and if they can authentically just be themselves and go and say, well, you know what, just like I was negotiating with my wife, there's got to be, think about it, when you're negotiating with your wife, it's a win-win situation, right? There's fair exchange. But we go into a sales environment now where we're in a disempowered position. They're the buyer, we're the seller, okay? And we're sort of sitting there and going, sir, would you please mind?
Please.
Versus going in there with a mindset of, you know what, I'm here in a modality of fair exchange. I'm here in a modality of how can I support you? How can I help you to solve your challenges, improve your productivity, whatever it may be, right? Because bear in mind, I never go to an unqualified prospect or an unqualified customer. I've already done my research. I know everything about your business. I know my value proposition is going to solve all your issues. So I'm convinced that what I've got is good for you. I then go in with the same headspace. I go in and say, how can I help you? Because how do you sell? You don't spell sell S-E-L-L, you spell it H-E-L-P. So if you can go in with that mindset of how can I help and support you, that we can develop a mutually beneficial relationship that will be win-win, fair exchange. You're already equaling the playing field. You're moving yourself from a lower position to an equal position. And it's a win-win and everybody benefits. And the person gets to see the authentic, real you, the real person. And that's where the people relate to you. Because remember, people don't buy with their mind. They buy with emotions, right?
Exactly.
So if they're going to buy with emotions, they want to buy from a real, authentic person, not a high-powered salesperson that's going to breeze in there and pretend to, come on, be yourself, be real, be authentic, and just help people. Selling becomes simple. It's something that we just have an inert ability to do. We're born with it. And that's why I say I can guide anybody to improve their selling once they can just make that shift, because it's all about small behavioral shifts. They can just make that small behavioral shift towards believing in themselves, being authentic, and not trying to put on a selling cap, but just be yourself cap. And it's amazing how quickly people can actually become a sales superstar without changing much.
You are giving us good information here, Andrew. You know, I get a lot of questions about that. One of the other things that people, entrepreneurs, that I hear a lot these days is, you know, the economy is bad. You know, we are struggling. Things are bad. What would you say to those people, you know, to those business people, obviously moaning about, you know, the economy and the interest rates and this and that and the other?
What I would say is if you can do something about those things, if you can change it, if you're heading up a massive hedge fund and you could change the exchange rate, or you could bring interest rates down, or I would say then do something. Then there's a point to that. The reality is until you accept full responsibility for everything in your life. And when I say, I don't mean you are accountable for everything. I mean, you're responsible. Empower yourself to say, if it's to be, it's up to me. And once you can make that shift and you can say, I will do it, we all go through. And I mean, we have it all the time. Right now, we're going into autumn. There's different seasons, and the seasons don't just apply to the weather. It applies to everything. There's wonderful seasons where it's summertime, where things are just fantastic, and you don't have to be a great businessman. You just kind of sit back and the money rolls in, right?
You flow in.
Then we're going to, of course, then we're going to sort of springtime, where it's not quite as great. Moving into, at least we're going into autumn, then we're going to winter. And oh my God, you know, you're going to winter, there's a lot of challenges. the reality is that's how life flows. How do we know how to make this work for us? I attended a Brad Sugars presentation a couple of years ago, and he had
Brad Sugars
analogy. He's from Action Coach, and he had an amazing analogy. And he said, "How do we know when summer's coming to an end?" He said, "When everybody is your brother-in-law." That was the words he used. He said, "When your brother-in-law is a property developer and the banks are giving 100% bonds, sell like hell." Think about when did
it's also the Warren Buffett way. Yeah.
Correct. Okay. So when did the bubble burst? When all of that stuff was happening. And the strangest thing was, at that stage, my ex-wife, I met her in a shop, and she said to me, "You'll never believe it. I've just become a property developer." Boom, and the bubble burst. And I mean, you know, when you sit in your stomachs, I mean, I was holding my stomach laughing because here was my ex-wife was now a property developer. Boom, and the bubble burst. So the reality is you need to use those changes, those cyclical changes to your advantage. And it's not difficult to read them. If you can see when the banks, and it's coming, right now, the banks, you have to have 30% to put down or 20% deposit to put down, and the banks will lend you money. 2 years from now, the banks are going to, or maybe 3 years from now, the banks are going to be giving 100% bonds. Your brother-in-law is going to be a property developer, right? That's the time not to be buying and getting huge bonds and debt. That is the time to be building up cash resources. Sell off everything you've got, right? So that when the next pop comes and properties are going for a song, you walk in with your cash and you buy all the businesses, the properties, etc. So that when the cycle changes and everybody's going, "Oh, this is great, I'm buying," you sell again. Okay, so you learn to use the cycles to your advantage.
Exactly.
And if entrepreneurs can just see that, and instead of falling into, don't be buying when everyone else is buying, don't be selling when everyone else is selling, hold your properties. The time is when the prices are low, hang on, do whatever you need to do. Do not sell your properties. But when the banks are giving 100% bonds, do not buy a single thing. You are going to burn your fingers. And if entrepreneurs can just grasp that simple fact, they can become, every 10 years, you can become a multi-millionaire. You follow the cycle properly every 10 years.
Avoid the herd mentality.
Big time. If people are selling, you should be buying.
Yeah.
Do not follow. If what other people are doing, do the opposite. And that's the reality.
Okay, Andrew, this is usually the time when I just say to whoever's watching this and they're not a Viditrainer subscriber yet, then rush out to the website immediately and become a subscriber. You know, we get guys like Andrew on very regularly, and as you can hear, it's good stuff. So I would recommend that you do subscribe and get first knowledge of guys like Andrew talking to us. If somebody wants to know more about what you do, you've spoken about your sales training, you've spoken about your motivational speaking and your books and all of that. If somebody wants to get more of what you do, what are the things that you can offer entrepreneurs watching this immediately?
Deon, it's been a long time coming. I've been asked for a very, very long time to actually do public training seminars and things. And up to now, I've always worked with big corporates. And so the average small business owner or small business entrepreneur couldn't afford my services because, for obvious reasons, I work with the big corporates. I have recently just started, or my first public program is going to be run on the 12th and 13th of April, and then every 2 weeks thereafter. So, if anybody wants to attend those sessions, they can just visit my website on www.andrewhorton, and it's Andrew HORTON.co.za, and they can get details as far as those public programs are concerned. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be offering sales training where we're going to look at two elements. The first element we're going to address is how do we actually make the sale? How do we get the people to buy what we have to sell? In other words, get an understanding of what we sell and then follow it through to closing the sale. But you can't do that if you don't actually have people to do that with. So the second element, it's broken up into a 2-day program. Day 1 is looking at the sale. Day 2 is looking at how do I acquire the customer to make the sale to them. So we look at elements like networking, elements like how do I actually research my markets? How do I use social media to acquire business? How do I do search engine optimization, etc.? So all of those elements. So we've broken it up into two days. So if somebody can't come for both days at the same time, they can come day 1 today and sort of day 2 in June or whatever the case is. So we've broken it up like that. The ideal would be obviously to attend the 2 days together.
Of course.
But if they want to attend either one day or the other day, it's been broken up, separated like that, that one day is about the sale, the other day is about acquiring the customer.
Okay. We'll obviously put the links on this blog post as well, and you can find them up. I think it's up on the page. But also, just Andrew, where can they reach you? Where's your actual website, or where is the best place to reach you?
Deon, I think always via my website is best. So yeah, if you put my website up, the website address up that they can see it, I think that would always be the easiest. Is just to come via my website. There's a wonderful thing that I have on my website, which I think would be of huge benefit to people. As soon as they come onto my website, top right hand corner, it says daily inspirational message. Now, all they need to do is click on that. It'll bring up a menu, fill in the menu, send it back. They'll receive an email in their inbox. Crucial. This is an opt-in thing. Yeah. So you need to, when you get the mail, go, yes, please send it to me.
Click on the link.
Yes, correct. Click on the link. And most people just don't click on the link. And then they get these mails going, I've subscribed, but I'm not getting it. And guys, just click on the link and you'll start getting it from the next day. Now, what that daily inspirational message is every single day of my life, I write an article of between 700 and 1,200 words on motivation, on sales, on various different things. Great, and value in those articles. But the real thing I want that message to do is, as they get it in their email, in their inbox, let it be their daily call to action. Let it be that reminder to say, you know what, if I keep doing things the way I've always done them, I'm going to keep getting what I've always got. So if I want things to change, I need to change. So let that message be that trigger, that catalyst that's going to say, don't keep running into the wall and expecting to get a different result. Let's do it differently. And if they can just sign up for that message and just start to use that message to get them doing things differently, their businesses are going to change very, very quickly. So it's free. There's no charge if they want to sign up for it.
That's absolutely brilliant. And also this whole interview with you was inspiring. Thank you very much for taking part. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm sure our viewers would have also enjoyed it a lot when they've had the opportunity to have a look at this.
Thanks, John. I really appreciate it. Just let me know if you want to do a similar thing down the road anytime. I'd love to.
Okay, Andrew. Thanks a lot, eh? Cheers.
Cheers now. Bye-bye.